Hey you guys, welcome back. This is Liz. I have a quick flip through to show you guys. This is a period journal, the ones where I use an antique photo holder to I use that as the cover and just kind of go from there. I don't think it'll be a while before I do another one of these period pieces. My supplies it just narrows in so much on the supplies that I use, and it's limiting. It just takes a lot of creative energy to make them, so I'll take a little break from them after this one. So I did decide to add, just some jute twine there, some like hemp cord to hold her shut. Like I said, it's one of those antique photo holders. On the spine, I added some antique hand stitched crazy quilt piece. Now this piece I turned not inside out, but kind of upside down. Let me show you guys what I mean. So this is what the original looks like. So it's bright and it's really pretty. Got crazy stitching on it. So this is the underside of it, and I really liked this better. So that's what I used right here, and I added all of these antique buttons, right? And then just some sari. That's not antique sari, it's regular sari. And there's the back. So it's reinforced very well. It's not going anywhere. The pocket is some antique French fabric right here and here. And on it, I clipped this vintage scarf clip. It's from West Germany. I love it. I've been hoarding it, waiting for, it's probably one of my favorite pieces. Waiting for the perfect, is it focusing? There we go. Waiting for the perfect, there it is, the perfect journal. And it just kind of clips like that. And this was it. It just looked great right there. So I just clipped it there. It can be removed and put wherever you'd like. This was actually like part of the flap that folded, so I cut it off the side and reattached it there. So in the front pocket, I put some vintage photos. This one's really cute. She has a little Mickey Mouse doll, matches my band-aid. So I put those in the pocket. Here's an antique French check and a really pretty antique postcard. It's got gorgeous front and back. This one was from my personal stash. Okay, so on the inside, I did the greeting card. Let me get it over here. So I got the greeting card up front. On the back of the inside cover, it's lined with some antique wallpaper. That's wallpaper, like a wallpaper label. This is some antique pieces collaged up. This is vintage, but the rest is antique, and some vintage fabric right there. Here is a piece of antique French ledger with an embossed label and a vintage French receipt. So I took those there. So like I said, this is the vintage greeting card, and this is open like towards the bottom. So it can be glued shut for a pocket or left that way, or cut at the top to make extra pages for writing. I left that as is. This is a gorgeous, I haven't used any of these yet. I got a lot of these pieces from 1812, 1813. They're like they're just fantastic. Some of the oldest like legal documents that are not like, the cursive, the full handwritten ones. So these are some of the oldest ones I have that are mixed with typing. And it's like it's like a real estate, let's see, deceased. I'm like trying to read it sideways, you guys. Anyway, it's like not a power of attorney, but it's related to real estate and stuff like that. What goes where, but it has a gorgeous stamp. Amazing paper. It's a really unique, I've never seen anything like that. This is from Antique Yearbook. And here's some wallpaper, avocado dyed paper. So there is a piece of avocado dyed paper and straw paper in here. Tried to give some extra writing space if you needed it. This is from Antique French Magazine. Some wallpaper. Here is, I don't know if this is antique or vintage. This is a French, yeah, this is like a French typewritten invoice. Antique wallpaper. Like this kind of document was what I was comparing the other one to, but this one has fun stamps and stuff on it. And here's a little piece of wallpaper that is for that's, you know, the pocket there. Here's a little receipt, a couple of receipts in a row. And this is an antique French letter. I put this in there because I usually hoard these. Let me see if it'll, there you go. It's got a real pretty embossed stamp there. It's that really nice super thin paper. That goes there. It's a wallpaper label. Some antique French wallpaper. Okay, this is just clipped in. This is a piece of a postcard album with an antique postcard on it. It's got kind of a glare. I'm recording this at night, so I hope the light is okay. This is from an antique French poetry book, but it had some blank pages in it. It's really nice thick paper. Here's some more antique French ledger with some an embossed stamp on it. Antique French wallpaper. This is really cool. This is from an antique French songbook, and I didn't do that. That tape was in there in this big book that I have. So I put a couple pages in here. It's just amazing. You know, we try to recreate this. Some people do such a good job. I've never tried the whole like acetate to make, or the vintage tape thing. I haven't tried it yet. I'd love to try it with the alcohol inks and see how it turns out. This is from Antique Magazine. Let's see, 1839. It was like one of those bound newspaper books. Some washi. I did add some washi. I reinforced a lot of the pages because I tried to use thin papers in here so I could put as many as I could, because the thicker, you know, the thicker you go, the less you can put in one signature. So here's a little wallpaper pocket and a French postcard and antique French invoice. It's a pretty light green color. It looks really good. Like a mint green. This is some antique ledger. I think I used this in the last one. It's real cool because it doesn't have lines on it. There's an antique French label. Here's another invoice. I don't know if this one's antique or vintage. It was founded in 1852, but I don't see a date. It may be on the other side. Anyway, this is a pretty color too. It's like the same minty green. I did a lot of wallpaper collage, so any of the random pieces like this you see throughout, it's wallpaper or ledger, mostly wallpaper. So here is a piece of antique French document, double-sided. Got the cool embossed stamp and a pretty label. Here's a wallpaper. It's a deep French wallpaper. And here's another. I wanted to do the postcards like a page, but it was getting too thick and bulky and it was hard to get the signature in, so I cut them into two separate pieces. This is like a it's not a postcard, almost like a trading card, I guess. Yeah, so that's that. This is a page from an antique sample book, wallpaper sample book. This is from an antique French ledger, a nice thick blue paper. Let's see, wallpaper, some antique French fabric. Here is, this is just the letter. So, I mean the envelope. This is just the envelope. It's the antique French envelope. This is a piece from an antique. I think this was like a handwriting book, or maybe a cursive, like to teach you cursive or calligraphy. It's a nice thin paper. And here is a book, like from another antique school book. But I like that the writing didn't go all the way to the margins on the sides. I like that it kind of staggered in the middle there. It looked kind of neat and different. So this ledger. This ledger like makes the best pages and pockets because it's strong enough where you don't have to you don't feel like you have to reinforce it. Like even the middle, I didn't have to put that wallpaper there. It was strong enough on its own. I did it just for aesthetic purposes, but it's so strong and durable. I love it. Here's antique invoice. I keep getting invoice and receipt mixed up. I guess they're the same thing, right? So invoice, antique French magazine. Here's a big old envelope that I was able to fold in half and put in here. This was like tough to try to get in because it was thick, because the stamps go right through the middle where you sew it in. But this was yeah, so let me show. I cut this side, so I made a pocket. There's a bunch of wallpaper in the pocket, like some French wallpaper. And I don't want to take this one out because it might be kind of tough to get it back in on camera, but so there's some. Okay, I'll leave it like that. So yeah, so that's that side of the envelope. 1954 wallpaper, ledger. This is some vintage. I think this is French. It might be German, but I think it's French. But this has a cool, really pretty texture to it. And I made a big old pocket on this side because this stuff was nice and thick, so I could get a pocket going. So right here, this is a bunch of different antique, like pieces of antique ticking. This is, the background is American. These two little squares are French. But this is from a piece of mattress ticking, and it's nice and thick. It's very durable. And here is a piece from an antique French, like a sample, like a floor sampling book, maybe linoleum, maybe tile, I'm not sure. Okay, this is from an antique book. It's got a gorgeous image on it and real pretty plates right there. Here's the straw paper. Here's like an embossed label and a wallpaper label. Label, two labels. Let's see, this is wallpaper. This is some antique French. This is like my favorite antique French fabric, and I hoard it religiously. I piece it out ever so carefully. Here's another one of those pages from the German theater or costume book. I'm not exactly too sure which, but so yeah, I just folded this one over in half, so you know, you have some space if you want to do whatever there. I turned this into a pocket, so there's some more wallpaper in this pocket right here. And since it's doubled over, you don't, I mean, it's fragile, but you don't have to be like inching it in there. It's fine. It's on the back of this piece of music paper, and this music paper is pretty durable, so isn't this gorgeous? This typography, I love that. I hoard these too. I don't have that many left in this book. So I did some collaging here. This is washi. Here's a piece from that big antique French fabric like sample book. So that goes there. Here's some wallpaper that I clipped in. Here's some antique wallpaper. Trying to fold it. This stuff is still curly on the end, so I'm trying to hold it down while I flip the page. I did some embossing on that ledger. Here's some wallpaper. This, let me turn the page. I've been waiting to use this. It's so bulky. So the past 3 or 4 journals, I wasn't able to use it, but it's some antique. It's like French. It's kind of like a velvet, maybe upholstery. I don't know. It's really thick, but I've been waiting to use it, and it worked out really well there. So that's a wallpaper pocket there. And here is, this is a piece from that French poetry book I was telling you that I had the blank paper from. This is a piece with some writing on it. This handwriting is gorgeous. So pretty. It's just perfect handwriting. Here's the other side of that other French wallpaper. Isn't that pretty? So I didn't want to do anything to this because it was too pretty. Antique ledger. Oops. This piece is of that velvet coming out. It's very delicate. Here's the other side of that big envelope, and this is a top loading. So this is where I cut the top off There's some, I'm not going to take it out, but there's some nice French ledger. There's a couple pieces in there. There's some French ledger and a piece of the ledger that I like to collage with. So they're both script. Oh, pretty script. The other side of the envelope. There's the other side of the French magazine. There's a wallpaper label. This is from a French, that's actually like a French fashion book. I don't have it near me, I'll show you. Anyway, it has really pretty things like that, florals and stuff in it. Let's see, that's some wallpaper. That's wallpaper. Here's the piece for the wallpaper book. Here's some French dictionary page. And here's a pocket, a collage pocket. Here's just like a journal card with some wallpaper on it. Here's an antique French letter, and the letter is in this one. Let me double check. Yeah, so the letter's in that one. Here's the other side of the invoice. Some more. I'm sorry, I keep scooting down on collaged wallpaper. I'm not going to take this off, but this is just like a little envelope I made out of French wallpaper, and I put some vintage glassine bags in there for you. Here is this wallpaper is curling too, so I'm going to have to be careful. Okay, so this is some antique French fabric right here. This is some antique wallpaper. It's a border, but as you can see, it's kind of pre-cut on the sides. Here is an antique cabinet card. That went really well there, so it didn't, that wallpaper didn't flop around. These I was going to use on the pocket too, but I didn't want to cover up too much of the ticking, so I just decided to add these separately. This is some more antique French pieces of ticking fabric, so their home is right there. Okay, let's see. Collage. Here's a pocket, and here's some really pretty gold antique French pages right here. And those are gorgeous. Here's one of those. I don't think this one's antique. I think this is, I know Tim Holtz has some of these. This may even be a Tim Holtz one, but it's one of those little like this little, I forgot what they're called. But you know what I'm talking about. So that's just pinned there, so you can move it and take it off fairly easily. Here's the other side of the French antique wallpaper. Here's a wallpaper belly band with an antique French. This is like an folded up invoice, letter / invoice. Let's see here. Did some embossing there. Wallpaper. This is like the other side of that blue, and it was like a little stubby page, so I just did a bunch of collaging here. And here's the other side of the typing paper, and I don't see a date on that, so I'm not sure what date it is. It's at least vintage. Let's go with that. Let's see, wallpaper. Here's the other side of the French magazine. And avocado paper in the antique yearbook. This is some vintage fabric. I made a ruffle. And the other side of that gorgeous, I don't want to cut any of this off. Like, I don't want to cut these at all. They will remain whole. Whatever book they go in, they're going to remain whole. So they'll either be folded or used as a page and a signature. Here's the vintage greeting card. Oh, and here, this is like from, I think it's a Peterson's. I think it's Peterson's. It's like a women's, it was like an old women's magazine back in the day. So got some pretty, this is like a little pocket. I didn't mess with this too much, except for just now trying to open it. So that just pokes out there. And here's the photo in the back. So this one has these things right here. So I did not glue it in. So it can, you know, slide in and out. You can glue it in. You can replace it and use this for something else. This is some antique French fabric here. So I wanted to leave that option available to whoever gets the journal. Okay, that's all she wrote. So thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time. Bye.